What's up, everybody? Welcome to or welcome back to TBN. This is our bi-monthly news and advocacy roundup. I think I decided on the term roundup. I just like it.
I like it.
It's a roundup, right? We do a bit of a roundup. We discuss some news. We give our hot takes on some news as it relates to, the world of vaping, what we do, tobacco control, harm reduction, smoking, science, nicotine, policy, legislation, all of it, and the such as. Even throw the such as on there. It's a roundup. That's what we say. It's a roundup. I perfectly just described what a roundup is.
You did, and I feel like we could wear cowboy hats, so it would.
Oh, we could take this in a whole new direction, Danielle Jones. This could be the TBN News and Advocacy Roundup, like in a serious way. We'll learn how to. I've always wanted to learn how to do that. You do the big hoop with the rope. Skills.
I grew up in Texas. It's real hard. We had Western days every year.
Oh, that sounds fun. Did you learn the big rope thing? They don't show you that?
We did practice. Cool. I was never very good at it. It's real hard, actually. But there was line dancing. We had line dancing competitions.
That sounds less fun than the big rope.
Line dancing is okay. It's fun. Don't hate on it.
Look, I could see it.
Square dancing?
Square dancing, yeah.
That was like your first boy-girl dancing was square dancing. Cowboy boots.
Yep.
Big plaid outfits, big belt buckles. Yep. Little bolos.
It sounds fun. Let's start line dancing, square dancing lessons right here on TBN in the next hour. We're gonna. No, I'm just kidding. Of course not. But we're here to talk about some news and advocacy. I'm your freedom-loving, bad libertarian host, GrimmGreen. Right next to me, this is my far left fact checker co-host, Danielle Jones.
Yep. Yeah.
Danielle Jones, Addie Tooney says your hair looks fantastic today. And I just want to echo those sentiments. The hair, you look fantastic today.
I pulled the blow dryer out. It felt like the day for it. I was like, let's mix it up a little.
Yeah, I like it. Bringing some class, to this TBN stream. We're all classy over here. Getting all.
I was like, maybe I'll act like a girl today. Maybe I'll do that.
Maybe I'll act like a girl.
Maybe.
Today. Look, whatever days you do or don't want to act like a girl, look, I don't care. It's whatever. You do you, Danielle Jones.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's I guess we can start talking about some news and or advocacy stuff that's been happening. I'll just start off with some newsy things since that's what we do. Yeah. Just the smooth sounds of the newsy things coming at you. Just those smooth. So one thing I wanted to mention right off the top here, I felt like there's a resurgence. We need testimonials. This is my thing. I'm pushing testimonials. Anywhere that you can fill out a testimonial, fill out the testimonial. Lots of advocacy orgs do this. Lots of vape orgs do this. CASAA does this and collects I don't know how many testimonials? Tens of thousands of testimonials.
I can tell you right now, we have over 13,000, and I just put the link in chat. So
testimonials, testimonials. It's a really great thing that literally everybody can do, and they're really, really effective. I mean, when you think about Julie Casimiro in Rhode Island, like changing her mind about vapor products in her state. It was the constituents. It was their testimonials that is one of the big things that kind of pushed her into the correct, I guess, more empathetic direction of tobacco harm reduction. Testimonials matter. Testimonials matter. Don't just do it at CASAA. I mean, definitely do it at CASAA, but literally anytime you're on the internet, on Twitter or Facebook, and anybody's asking for vape testimonials, do it. Give it, because that kind of gives, in my opinion, our anecdotes a little bit more solid ground to stand on. It's easy to, brush off anecdotes, right? But when you have 13,000 anecdotes, all telling their story of how they quit smoking with vaping, it can be a really powerful thing, and it can add up and pile up, and the more testimonials we get can only be a positive thing. Beecher, have you done your testimonial, Beecher Howard?
Yeah, have you, Beecher?
Have you, Beecher? Did you go to CASAA and do a testimonial? I'd love for you to go do a testimonial, Beecher Howard. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Peer
But
pressure.
yeah, peer pressure. I know. Testimonial peer pressure. Peer pressure into doing a call to action. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Testimonials, I think it's really, really important, and I'm going to harp on those for a little bit. Let's talk about this big vape real quick. There was a little bit of bit like released from this. So this is we talked about this in the past. This is a book by Jamie Ducharme, The Incendiary Rise of Juul, Big Vape. This is a book coming out this month.
Yes.
And it's being adapted into a Netflix docuseries.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Netflix docuseries of the same name, Big Vape, The Incendiary Rise of Juul. Well, Time Magazine did a little piece on this book, and they published an excerpt from it.
I think it's a collection of excerpts. It's basically adapted. Right? So I think they grabbed a few pieces and kind of put them together into a cohesive short piece, because Jamie is a writer for Time. So they're promoting their writer's book. Sense. Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That article was written by Jamie, and I went, oh, okay, he's a writer for Time. Okay,
she, I think.
She? Was it a she?
I think it's a she.
Okay.
I thought.
Jamie. I'll just call this person Jamie. Jamie wrote it, so I was assuming that, Jamie works for Time Magazine. Jamie wrote this book, Big Vape. And I read this article, and I did not walk away from it seeing red and filled with rage sweat instantly, right? It didn't. Just this little these little excerpts from it didn't seem completely anti-vaping and completely condescending to vaping and harm reduction.
It did not.
I didn't get that vibe.
No, and in fact, it seemed like a very factual account of what happened. And I would actually argue that most media, journalists, whoever people don't actually give the honest side of it that, at least in this excerpt, she did, which is that Juul, they're not these especially in the early days, they weren't these like maniacal CEOs trying to figure out how to hook the children, in all reality, they were Silicon Valley bros who had just no idea what they were doing. Yeah. They saw themselves, as a tech company, man. We're tech, we're
tech.
Cool.
We're not tobacco. We're tech.
Right. And they had no idea of the landscape that already exists, the history that already existed in this space. And so they did what they thought would sell product, not realizing how it would be interpreted, right? They were ignorant. They were, they were not well versed in this space. That's in reality what happened.
Yeah,
and most people don't acknowledge that.
No, and they made a series of silly decisions because, again, they thought they were a tech company and not a tobacco company, right? And and truly and honestly, when Juul came out, they had no reason to believe that they would be a tobacco company.
I mean, the deeming was already out, so one could argue that they should have probably been a little bit smarter.
That is a good point. They could have been much smarter about it. They could have been much smarter about it.
I think I would go so far as to say they should have been
they should have
smarter.
Been, right? They should have
been. But they weren't. That's what happened. And then, now it's where it is now. So I think it's important to still highlight, what people's intentions likely actually were, especially if you can, dig through court documents and see emails and look at communications and actually kind of distill what that was. Because I've never thought that they were evil. I think that they've made a lot of really bad choices.
Sure.
But I still think that their product is an excellent product for people who smoke, regardless of what the people at the company do. The product is good for people who smoke. But I hope that the excerpts that we read in this article from this book follow the entire. I hope that is, indicative of the entire tone of the book, because if it is, I might be expecting a very balanced look at this situation.
It felt very balanced to me. And when I was reading this, there wasn't any mention of health implications. There was no mention of like science or harm reduction or EVALI or lung injuries or nicotine addiction, or there wasn't any of that. It seems like Jamie's real beef with Juul is how they initially marketed it.
I think that's what most people's beef is. And to be honest, this was sort of like a chronological, that's not a word, a chronological description of what happened at the beginning. I would not be surprised if in her actual book there is a chapter dedicated to Ivali or something like that. I would see, this seems like kind of an intro, you know what I mean? So I'm still holding my judgment to see what's in the rest of the book. But I think she seems to have a good handle on, you know, the situation. And then while she does, you know, say what Matt Myers was thinking and what he said, she doesn't let that rule the piece. She still balances that with, well, here's what Juul was thinking. You know, they weren't trying to do this. Matt Myers, it looked like this to him, understandably, but actually these guys didn't know what they were doing, you know? So it feels balanced so far.
It does.
And the few articles by her that I've read have felt more balanced than a lot of other stuff, but I'm still too jaded to be hopeful. I can't be hopeful yet.
It's hard.
But I am intrigued and I am paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what I'll say. Cautiously optimistic. You know, I'm that's my default setting is I'm cautiously optimistic. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this big vape thing. In fact, I want to the very last paragraph of this, Jamie writes, Juul supporters argue that too much attention has been paid to a single advertising campaign that only ran for a few months. The company contends that it made little impact on Juul's sales, but as the saying goes, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. If Juul had a target on its back in the years that have followed, it was only because it put it there with its early unenforced error, and now lawyers like North Carolina's Jeff Stein are shooting for a bullseye. I mean, that's holding Juul to the fire over one small thing. I mean, I agree that I think it's been completely overblown. 100% completely overblown. It just seems like Jamie can't let this go. Like she can't let go that this company fucked up and that's it. And then they might have course corrected and they might have saved thousands and thousands and thousands of smokers from a life of smoking. And they might have done this, but she's very stuck on this one. Like, the first impression I got from Juul was bad. Mm-hmm. That's what she seems to be harping on.
I mean, I can see that, but I also, the way that I read the piece in its entirety, I actually didn't feel like she was giving her personal opinion. I felt like she was doing a pretty good job of standing back and saying, here's what this side is saying, here's what the other side was saying, and this is what it has caused. Like, fairly objectively. Like, because this happened, you know, some people say too much attention, some people say not enough attention, but because of it, regardless of how you feel, here's where we are today. I feel like I didn't feel like she was super harpy in it of her own personal opinion. I feel like she was pretty objective in sort of laying out what happened and why these things are related and why this person felt this way and then did this. You know what I mean? So
she is a lot more nuanced.
She is,
you know,
definitely
than I was expecting.
And I think while I agree with you that campaign that, again, actually only ran for a few months and all that stuff, well, I don't think it was the thing that, you know, got kids, you know. I don't think that, I mean, did it help? No. I mean, probably not, but I don't think it was the sole cause. I think the cause of kids trying vaping is a confluence of a whole lot of complicated issues.
A whole lot.
But, you know, the point is that that's how everybody sees them right now. And I think that's why she's talking about it. You know, while you know, say what you want about what you think should have happened or how you feel about it, the reality is, here's what happened. And I felt like that's what she was talking about in that excerpt. We'll have to see if she strays from that, but, you know, in the rest of the book.
I think it's going to be really interesting. I really liked reading this article. And I liked seeing, like I said, I walked away from it not feeling terrible about this book and not feeling terrible about this docuseries and thinking that this might not be just a big vape Juul hit piece. This might actually be like opening up for discussion, like opening this up for discussion a little bit more than just ragging on vaping. So look.
And my question is there going to be a section that talks about the rest of the industry that isn't
Juul?
Juul?
There has to be, right?
All of us, right?
There has to be. I can't imagine that would not be included in Big Vape, although it is just a book about Juul. It's called The Incendiary Rise of Juul. It's not the incendiary rise of vaping or
But I mean, she seems pretty well-rounded. You would want to talk about the context of Juul within the larger context of the industry. So I would hope it would be in there.
I would hope that as well. I would think that you couldn't write a book about Big Vape or Juul without also including the entire, open container or the
Little
Vape, whatever.
How about Little Vape?
Lil Vape. I like it. Lil Vape. So that's a thing, and we'll have updates, as that kind of unfolds. I don't know, March 25th, I think that book's getting released, so next week.
Oh, it would be June, right? Or May.
Sorry, May.
Not
what
March.
Did I say, March?
May? Yeah, you said March. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's not March because it would be out already.
Yeah, May. That's what I meant to say. May, I think it comes out this week or the next. I'm going to have to read it. I'm going to have to read it.
I think I wasn't necessarily planning on it, but now I think I might need to.
I'm going to have to read it, and I hate reading books, and I'm going to have to read it. It's just the worst. I hate reading anyway, but I hate reading books especially.
We should make a little book club and hold each other accountable. You know what I mean?
Look.
Like every week you have to get to this page. You know what I mean? Like
that's tough.
So we get through it, right?
It took me like 4 months to get through Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It took me a while. And that was the first book I had read since high school. Like that's the first book I've read since like Lord of the Flies or like The Outsiders in high school,
Okay.
So it's okay. Look, it's whatever. I'll read the Big Vape book. I'll just suck it up and read it.
Or I'll read it and then I'll just give you the clip notes.
You can read it. Is there, or if there's an audio version of it, look, I would be into that. I would be into the audio version of it.
There might be.
Did you see this tweet from the IHME? This is craziness.
What everybody's getting upset about this morning, one?
Yeah, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation.
Yes, I did. The people who are just like, no. Yeah.
No. Okay, so let me back up. There's a research center at University of Washington, right? Research center at University of Washington called the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. 58,000 followers seems like a very prestigious, respected, organization, research center, maybe. I don't know. And then so they shot out this tweet the other day. U.S. FDA should ban all flavors and nicotine-containing products, not just menthol cigarettes. More than 8 out of 10 current youth e-cigarette users in the U.S. vape non-tobacco flavors. And this turned into a really long thread of theirs, just one anti-talking point right after the other, just one after the other, one after the other, all this stuff. And I could see this Twitter thread happening, and I saw like when they started citing campaign for tobacco-free kids, I kind of just went, oh, I know where your money came from. That's kind of just a big red flag when you start citing campaign for tobacco-free kids as a source.
Yep.
There you go. That's not real science. And so people started engaging in this thread. I saw everybody in there. Charles Gardner's in there. Everybody's in there tweeting about this, tweeting at this account. Charles was talking about how he's surprised that this kind of, that this organization would take this stance and following the science and stuff like that. And so this is just an example from Incident with a Pigeon 3.8. He says e-cigs are one of the best ways to reduce smoking consumption, will save millions of lives. Our talking points. They aren't a gateway to tobacco. They're a method for quitting. Their response? No, they're not. Nuh-uh. And they did this repeatedly. There's like 8 different instances of someone showing them like, I quit smoking with this, blah, blah, blah. Nope. No. Nope. Wrong. No, they're not. Someone says, these are for quitting smoking. No, they're not. That's the academic equivalent of just, nuh-uh.
Basically. Yeah.
And I just picture...
And covering your ears and going,
exactly.
Nah.
It's like, I just picture an ostrich, typical ostrich with their head in the sand.
Yeah.
And everybody outside of the hole of the ostrich is just going, look at, would you just look at this? Ostrich, would you look at this? And they're just head in the sand going, nuh-uh.
Yep.
Vaping helps smokers quit. Nuh-uh.
It's very mature.
Very mature from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation at the Washington University. This is what they're doing on Twitter. Just going, no, they're not. I feel sorry for the intern that's running that account because they don't know what they're doing. And 2, that intern is definitely getting fired. There's a job opening.
Or they're getting promoted.
Opening. Yeah.
I mean, their boss is
good
probably
job
saying,
out there on Twitter.
Wait, no.
Yeah, good job out there on Twitter. Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. Shocked. I was shocked by those answers. Shocked. Mm-hmm. Usually things like that will give like cookie cutter, like, for more information, please visit this, or here's the research that our research group, something. Right. I've never seen a research group make a claim, have people argue that claim, and then the research group in the comments just go, no.
Nope.
Nuh-uh. Nope. Ridiculous. This is what tobacco control has come to. They don't even need to explain it anymore. They can just go, no, they're not. They aren't a gateway to tobacco. They're a method for quitting. No, they're not. Okay, what are you, 11?
I feel like people
people
are like, prove it, or cite your sources, and their response is, it's because I said so.
Yeah, because I said so. Because didn't you see? We cited Matt Meyer's campaign for tobacco-free kids. That's our evidence.
Duh.
Oh, shocking. Yeah, it's crazy. I've never seen anything like that. I feel like they would have just been better off not responding.
I know.
Than just typing really no over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's insanity. And it's like, you just get so frustrated because I try not to like engage people on Twitter that I know I'm going to end up arguing with because I just don't have the energy for it sometimes. Just don't have the energy. Mm-hmm. And that's one of those times where I could have chimed in and said something and then their response would have just been, nuh-uh, no. Mm-hmm. And what does that accomplish? It's accomplishing nothing. You know how frustrating it is to try to explain something to someone and then they're just not listening and they go, no.
Yeah.
Go,
I do
okay.
exactly.
I want to punch you in the face right now like that. Anyway, it's infuriating, and I'm glad I didn't comment on that because my response might have been a no, and that just would have, shot me through the fucking roof.
I know.
So frustrating.
It is.
People can't engage on Twitter or Facebook. Like you can't. You just end up getting blocked. I got blocked by Fred. What's his face? Stanton Glance's friend.
Oh,
and we were just having a very normal conversation, and I was showing him things, and he was replying to me, and I thought things were going like I wasn't yelling, he wasn't yelling, and then I go back to check on this Twitter thread, and it's like, oh no, he blocked you. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, I know. It's like some people, and this is, there's a lot of it in tobacco control, don't get me wrong, but it's out in the world too. People, I feel, are allergic to a point of view that is not their own.
Yes.
And honestly, like it's kind of pathetic, actually. Like you are so pathetic that you can't even tolerate a conversation that has a different viewpoint than your own. Like nobody's yelling, nobody's being inappropriate, nobody's insulting your mom. Like none of that's happening, but you have a zero tolerance policy to viewpoints that are not yours. So you just block. Like I don't block. I think that's why America is where it is right now, is because
of the block button.
Yeah, because that became a thing. Like, oh, I just don't. I can opt out. I can opt out of other people's lived experiences, and I think that is really messed up.
That's a really good way of putting it. I can opt out of listening to people's lived experiences, and it's like, there's a slippery slope there. If you're just blocking people on Twitter, instantly in my head that makes me think, all right, well, when science comes across your desk that you don't like, what do you do with it? You just go, no,
exactly,
no, block that science, block it. It drives me insane. I just thought that was something hilarious I saw on Twitter. Nick Ryan in with the super chat. What do you have to say, Nick Ryan? After a long battle with my mom over having her switch to vaping and help her quit smoking, I'm proud to announce that she has made the switch with menthol. Menthol vapes. Menthol vapes. Menthol vapes. Menthol
good job,
vapes.
Mom. We're
Menthol
so proud
vapes.
of you.
So proud of Nick Ryan's mom. Huge shout out. Nick Ryan's mom, you didn't tell us your name, but we're shouting out Nick Ryan's mom. Congratulations on switching to vaping. It's the best decision. If you're a smoker, it's the best decision you could make. Best decision you could make. Oh, Fishy. Fishy, what's up, bro? Any chance I could get a shout out to my best friend and all-around awesome lady, Gail, of course, a.k.a. Sick Girl, of course. Today is her birthday, and I just want to try to make a little bit special for her. Fishy, you've come to the right place. You know I love singing happy birthday. Danielle, I won't make you sing happy birthday. You can conduct if you want to. I'm going to sing happy birthday. Fishy Webcamp, this is for Gail. You're an awesome lady. Happy birthday from Fishy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gail. Happy birthday to you. Skip around the room, Gail. Skip around the room. I'll know if you didn't. Skip around the room. Appreciate that, Fishy. That's very cool of you. Happy birthday, Gail. Now then, would you like to discuss? Now then, after that was important business, and now I guess now I guess we can talk about Massachusetts. There was a study done on the Massachusetts flavored tobacco and e-cig ban recently. They did a study of if this ban was effective. Quite the interesting results. This is something I think we have brought up here on the past. I know I've mentioned Reason Magazine. Reason Magazine did a huge article about this basically the same exact thing. But this is the effects of HB 4196, which I looked up, and it's just the modernizing tobacco control. This was their big post-Ivali scared politician legislation. That's the best way I can describe it. Electronic cigarettes or e-cigarettes are devices that deliver nicotine containing aerosol used by blah. There's a whole background on it. They talk about trying to reduce youth e-cigarette use in Massachusetts by imposing a 75% excise tax on nicotine-containing vaping products and ban the sale of all flavored tobacco products, including combustible tobacco, effective June 1st, 2020. Ready to see what the results of this really very successful drug war style legislation was in Massachusetts. So what they did is they used purchasing data to look at trends basically of who was buying what where, either in the state, outside of the state. The results. The purchasing data indicated that there was no significant decrease in e-cigarette purchases in the greater Boston area convenience market after the tax implementation. However, we found that e-cigarette purchases decreased significantly while cigarette purchases increased after several bans on e-cigarettes and numerous policy statements related to the Ivali outbreak. The survey results suggested that people who smoke cigarettes did not, I don't like it when people say smoke e-cigarettes.
I know.
Why do people write that? You don't smoke an e-cigarette.
They don't. I know, but...
You don't smoke an e-cigarette. Okay. That's not the hill I'm going to die on. The survey results suggested that people who use e-cigarettes did not decrease their consumption after the implementation of the tax, but instead obtained e-cigarettes outside of Massachusetts. This is the same thing that happened in San Francisco. When you ban or limit e-cigarettes, people just go out of the state to get it. The conclusion: these results suggest that the Massachusetts flavor ban and tax did not reduce e-cigarette consumption in the greater Boston area, and that messaging questioning the safety of e-cigarettes led to an increase in combustible cigarette use. Yeah. This suggests the need for health authorities to reconsider how they communicate the relative risks of smoking and vaping. Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. And reading this, I was kind of like, yes, I knew that. Yes, of course that's what was going to happen. Of course that's what was going to happen. I tried to warn Massachusetts that this is what would happen, that people would be forced back to combustible cigarettes, that they'd go out of the state to get their vapor products, that there'd be a booming black market. It's like, hi, we told you so, we told you so. Now there's a study that basically the conclusion just could have said, we told you so. Signed the vape community.
Yeah, Alex from CASAA tweeted, like, I didn't want to say it, but we told you so. And I was like, yup.
Yeah, we told you so. We told you so. Banning or otherwise limiting flavored vaping products in Massachusetts resulted in an increase in combustible cigarette use. So, Charlie Baker, your vape ban was a huge success if all you wanted to do is get people smoking again. Then I would consider this an astronomical success. What annoys me even more about this is, even though this HB 4196 is clearly a failure, clearly failed, didn't stop anybody from buying e-cigarettes, just let them go out of the state, combustible cigarettes, sales went back up again. What do you think the odds are of them repealing this and then trying something else?
Repealing it, probably very little.
Zero.
I mean, legislation doesn't get repealed super often in my experience.
I know.
It's like, it's real hard to undo that stuff.
That's the most infuriating part, because this is clearly bad legislation. It's bad, and it's doing harm to the citizens of Massachusetts. It's causing people to actively smoke more cigarettes. It's putting state revenue into all of the other states as far as e-cigarettes or vaping is concerned. It's clearly bad legislation. But all they're going to do is try to introduce another legislation to correct the bad legislation without recognizing that the bad legislation was bad or repealing it or changing it in any way. They're just going to introduce more legislation that's going to try to correct what they previously had completely fucked up.
Although we should point out that representatives in Rhode Island, like we talked about, are trying to pass a bill to undo theirs. So it's not that it's impossible,
right?
But it is just quite difficult.
It's difficult.
And I still think people should push for that and should do it, because if they are paying attention to the results, that's what they should do.
Yes.
And all the best wishes to Rhode Island for that to happen and to work. And maybe that would be a model for other states if it worked. If it
worked, it didn't work. I don't know what Massachusetts is going to do. They're just going to continue having this menthol ban, this e-cig flavor ban, and it's just going to continue driving cigarette sales up in the state. I mean, Massachusetts is going to have to see that how this has affected their state, and they're going to have to course correct at some point, right? I don't know. I feel like they have to. I feel like they have to course correct.
When you're talking about zealots, I tweeted about this. When you're talking about zealots, they just double down. Like, they can't admit that they're wrong because their belief is just that. It is a belief that is based on not necessarily facts, but belief. And therefore they just cling to it. You know what I mean? They'll just double down, bury their heads in the sand because they can't afford to have what they believe, disproven. And I think that that's very different than people who are just looking for the truth. You know what I mean? Because they don't have skin in the game. They just want to know what it is. So depends on if we're talking about zealots or not. That's what I would say.
And zealots is a good way to put it. And I think that, throughout all of this, all of what we read today, ego plays a humongous role in this, like an unbelievable, kind of an unbelievable role in this, especially when we start talking about like Japan. I'm sorry, there was a super chat I missed there before I move onward. Dave Lloyd, that's very gracious of you. Keep it up, Nick and Danielle. P.S. Legion Vape sent me. Shout out to Dave Lloyd. Appreciate that very much. We will keep it up. And huge shout out to Legion Vapes. In fact, if you guys are in Australia or you're an Australian vapor, Legion Vapes stream this coming Sunday, I believe. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's this coming Sunday on the Aussie Vape Show. It's going to be Legion Vapes. It's going to be Squidly Tris. It's going to be Breeze Tones. And they're having on Colin Mendelsohn, who is making like a public appearance for the first time in almost a year. He has just kind of disappeared, and I didn't notice it. I didn't even think about it until I started talking to Breeze Tones and these guys, and I'm like, yeah, Colin hasn't been on Twitter. He hasn't been on any social media. I haven't talked to him in forever, but now he's back for the Aussie Vape Show, and they're going to be talking about the announcement coming up in Australia starting October 1st. It's going to be prescription-only nicotine, I believe, in Australia, which is horrible. But Colin Mendelsohn will be on to talk about that. I'm not, and I'm not 100% sure that's what's coming in Australia. That's just what I've heard. That's unsubstantiated rumors. But yeah, Breeze Tones. Okay, excellent. This Sunday, Aussie Vape Show, Legion Vapes channel. Go there, do it, watch it. Look, Breeze Tones, I'd love to stay up till 1:30 a.m. again to watch it, but I also like sleeping. And that's
sleeping is nice.
It's hard to compete with sleep, man. real hard to compete. Real hard to compete with sleep. So, Aussie Vape Show, there you go. A little bit, two more little newsy things here. Danielle sent this over my way. Kristin Noll-Marsh. How do you describe Kristin Noll-Marsh?
She is the wizard behind CASAA's social media accounts, and she is a huge help to CASAA. She's one of our behind-the-scenes people. You may have interacted with her and not even known it.
Yeah. Oh, there's a very good chance. And she just got over 1,000 followers on Twitter, which is very, very cool. But she posted this the other day about Ove Ferno. Ferno. And I didn't know who this guy was, but he apparently invented nicotine gum. Kristin Noll-Marsh. So there's a huge interview with this gentleman in the Addiction Journal, right? I think it's called the Journal Addiction.
I'll click the link.
Journal? Yeah, click the link and see where that takes you.
That takes me to...
I don't know.
Oh, it's just called Addiction.
Yeah, Addiction. I think it's the journal Addiction. And it's a long interview with this guy that created nicotine gum, but Kristin kind of boiled it down to like a few cool things, and I just wanted to share a few of them. Not that nicotine gum is overly interesting or anything, but there are a lot of really interesting parallels between when nicotine gum first came on the market and when vaping first came on the market. So Kristin says, Ove Ferno, inventor nicotine gum, created it not as a nicotine addiction therapy, but as a tobacco substitute for oral use. So like a consumer product with suitable doses of nicotine, which would prevent the user from being exposed to the many harmful constituents of tobacco smoke. Holy shit, that sounds like vaping to me.
It does.
Sounds exactly like vaping to me. Substitution for cigarettes with reduced harm, preventing many of the harmful constituents from tobacco. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. So this had started in the 60s. Kristin says his first idea was to use an aerosol containing nicotine, but it tasted terrible and was too complicated.
I mean...
He almost invented vaping.
He almost invented vaping
in 1969. What kind of different landscape would we be right now if we had like commercialized vaping in the 80s?
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy. That would be unbelievable. I really wish he had created the first vaporizer, but he didn't. It was too complicated, tasted terrible. Yeah, I could see that tasting terrible.
I mean...
Says the idea for gum came when submariners who couldn't smoke on their ship found smoke-free tobacco to be an effective substitute, right? You're on a submarine, you can't have a cigarette. You go for the smoke-free tobacco. Well, what if we could give them something else that also isn't going to crud up their mouths and cause mouth cancer?
Smoke-free tobacco products don't cause mouth cancer.
Okay, well, not all smoke-free tobacco products. Doesn't dip and chew actively cause mouth cancer?
I don't think that I know that snus is extremely not cancer-causing.
Right.
We have a whole section dedicated to smokeless on the CASAA website if you guys are interested. I don't recall that statement being entirely accurate. They are all harm reduction. There are a couple types. The dry snuff, if I am not mistaken, that is tends to be popular in like certain parts of the world. That stuff can be quite dangerous. I think you typically inhale it. You like snort it. That is proven to be harmful. I think that snus is probably the most best, but I don't think it's entirely accurate to say, I it causes
smoke-free
cancer.
tobacco. Yeah, you can't say smoke-free tobacco causes cancer, but there is some smoke-free tobacco that will definitely cause you cancer. Like if you're dipping Skoal every day.
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know enough about the products, but I know that there's been a lot of misinformation about this.
There has. I know there definitely has been. And I know for sure that snus is absolutely harm reduction because it's pasteurized. The tobacco is pasteurized, and you're supposed to chill it. You're supposed to keep it chilled in your refrigerator. That keeps the tobacco-specific nitrosamines to a minimum, things that alter your DNA. But I think that chewing tobacco like Skoal or I don't even know any other brands of chewing tobacco. Don't know any other brands of chewing tobacco.
Let me look at the smokeless section.
And the only reason I say that is because Matt Cully got mouth cancer on his lip from his cigarette just touching his lip. He got lip cancer there. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, if you take chewing tobacco like Skoal and you're jamming it in your lip, it's definitely going to cause lip, mouth, mouth cancer, throat cancer.
I don't know that's, let's see, the prevalence of diseases like oral cancer, heart disease, and dental issues among people who use it and who do not smoke. Let's see. I don't think there's as much of that as you think, even for chewing tobacco or dip. A lot of that is, if you recall, there's a lot of tobacco control has used examples of like famous baseball players, for example, and athletes who used chew or dip and then got like crazy mouth cancer. Actually, the reality is there that you are at much higher risk for those types of cancers due to like heavy drinking or sexually transmitted diseases, which very famous baseball players have been also those ones in particular that use an example were very heavy drinkers. And I think may have been a little
interesting. All right. Well, shit, I'm going to have to do some research into this.
I think you should do some more research.
I've been operating under the assumption, I guess, that chewing tobacco like Skoal and things you can get in convenience stores outside of snus do definitely cause mouth, throat, head, neck cancer.
I don't necessarily think that that's the only thing that we warn about on the CASAA page.
We're taking a turn here.
Dry snuff, which is like Southeast Asia and India. That is dangerous. It can be very dangerous and is significantly increased risk of mouth and throat cancer compared to other forms. I think that snus is definitely the best, but I don't think that I'll ask around some more, but I think you should look into that because there's a lot of misinformation about dip and chew as well. I think we're talking about it like a spectrum, right? So obviously,
spectrum of harm.
I would say think about like heated tobacco products and vaping, perhaps the same way as like, chew versus snus. Like one's a little bit up potentially on the scale, but I don't think it's accurate to say any of those products cause cancer. I don't think that is accurate from what I understand.
And really, even right now, even with DuckDuckGo installed, I have a hard time finding like actual anything that I trust to tell me that chewing tobacco can or cannot, does or does not lead to cancer, because you can find, like, it's the same thing with vaping. You can find doctors that go, oh, nope, vaping is harm reduction, no carcinogens, no tar, no none of that. And then you'll find doctors who go, no, tobacco use is very bad. It can lead to this XYZ, this, that, and the other. You find the same thing for chewing tobacco and mouth and throat cancer, as you have doctors saying, yes, of course, chewing tobacco causes mouth cancer when you chew it and cancer in the rest of your respiratory tract. And then there's other doctors who go, no, it's not like what you think it is.
Right. And what you have to understand about tobacco control is, this is like a dogma for them. This is like a religion. And so they cannot possibly, it does not fit into their reality for any form of tobacco, smokeless or otherwise, to be not dangerous or even to be less harmful. They cannot admit any of that. They put all tobacco and vape into one box and say, this will kill you. That's the end.
Yeah. Tobacco,
there is no
bad.
room. Right. There's no room for them. What we should do is we should have Alex back on the show to talk about smokeless, because I think there's a lot. You may have been brainwashed by tobacco control more than you even realize. about some of the smokeless products.
Look, I'm a high-level susceptible person. I fall for things. You can take advantage of me real easy. I'll just believe whatever you say. I'm that guy. So this is why I thought for all my life that menthol cigarettes caused menthol crystals to build up in your lungs, even though that's never happened. Right. It's still like a belief, like that thing that I had. Apparently I'm easily susceptible. Yes, I think we should dig into this. I would be really interested to know.
Let's have a show topic about
Let's set up a
smokeless.
show topic about smokeless, and then we'll. Where did I leave off? That's right. We were talking about the Submariners. This is really the one I wanted to get to, though. Point number 8 that Kristin Noll-Marsh makes from this the nicotine gum guy. Tobacco control organizations overemphasize the risk of non-smokers, including children, becoming addicted to the gum, becoming addicted to nicotine from the gum. That sounds super hyper familiar to something that has happened much more recently, and that is that tobacco control organizations are overemphasizing the risk to non-smokers, including children, becoming addicted to nicotine from vaping. The argument seems to have not changed in any capacity.
Nope.
During the late 1970s, though, particularly after publications from Michael Russell and his group, this actually all changed, and it got classified as a drug. And Michael Russell, he has that famous quote about talking about, smokers smoke for the nicotine but die from the tar. He was like a harm reduction guy trying to put out there that nicotine isn't the actual villain that people think it is. I think it's hilarious that in the 70s, the tobacco controllers were yelling about non-smokers and youths getting addicted to nicotine through gum, trying to create a moral panic around a harm reduction product like nicotine gum. And then you can fast forward a few years and it's like, oh, well, nicotine gum, it's an NRT. You know, you smoke, you should use it. Use the gum. Get the gum. It's just available over the counter now. But
once pharma got a hold of it,
Once
right?
pharma got a hold of it. But in the 70s, it was like, oh my God, moral panic. All these children are going to start chewing nicotine gum and be addicted to nicotine gum for the rest of their lives. Oh my God.
Yeah, basically.
Sounds familiar is all I'm saying. People
It
talk
does.
about, this is what kills me. People talk about the Big Tobacco playbook all the time. Like, oh, that's a page right out of Big Tobacco's playbook, right? There is a tobacco control playbook. There's a tobacco control playbook and everybody's using it.
Oh, yeah. And theirs is like the most unoriginal ever.
Ever.
Big Tobacco, I feel, is like at least pivots sometimes. Like they try to be a little creative. No, tobacco control has one toolbox with like 3 tools in it, and that's all they will ever use.
Yep. It's 3 hammers and everything looks like a nail and you just get hit on the head constantly. It's insane. It's ridiculous. Okay. Last thing here in the Newsy Bits before we start talking about teenagers doing things they shouldn't. Why Japan's huge drop in smoking is a story that prohibitionists are ignoring. This is a spectacular article from the one and only Alex Norcia, who, it's no big deal. I got to interview him for a podcast. I'll put a link below to that if you wanted to listen to it. But Alex Norcia is great, really smart dude, really great journalist, really great writer. He's writing for Filter magazine. Japan's huge drop in smoking is a story prohibitionists ignore. Which prohibitionists, though? Mike Bloomberg? So he starts off here and he says, nowhere on earth has cigarette consumption dropped as rapidly as it has in Japan over the last few years. Just look at the numbers. The first quarter of 2021, January, February, and March of this year, domestic cigarette sales in Japan totaled about 25 billion sticks. In 2016, that same period saw around 43.6 billion domestic cigarette sales in the country. There has been close to a 43% decline in cigarette smoking in Japan in half a decade. That is unbelievable to me.
Like unprecedented, I think.
Yeah, that is absolutely unprecedented. And the reason why? It's IQOS, man. They love those heat not burn tobacco products in Japan. Same as South Korea. Both Japan and South Korea introduced this product into the market with no advertising. It's mostly illegal there. It's not we'll get there in a second, but it's just like word of mouth between smokers. Lowest, astronomical drops in smoking, astronomical smoking in Japan. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of incredible to me. He goes on to say, critics of mainstream tobacco control, which tends to favor prohibition-centered measures on lower-risk products, point to Japan as a potential model for nations around the world, and that despite the Japanese example being flawed and somewhat limited, heated tobacco products may be ubiquitous, but vaping products are effectively outlawed. I didn't know this. Outlawed in Japan.
Yep.
Unlike the United States, Japan is party to the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. Though the World Health Organization includes harm reduction strategies in its definition of tobacco control, it has not yet definitively embraced vaping or the use of heated tobacco products. And that is one of the things that really hyper upsets me about the World Health Organization, is they claim harm reduction. Oh, harm reduction. Of course, harm reduction. We do harm reduction. And it's like,
no,
wait,
you
harm
don't.
reduction
Really?
for
Where?
smokers.
Where?
Get out of here with that shit. Harm reduction for smokers. Get real. Who cares about smokers? Other smokers.
Yeah, but vaping is illegal there from what I think that happened kind of a while ago. But heated tobacco products have been doing IQOS. I believe IQOS used Japan as a lot of their like test market data for their PMTA for the FDA, if I'm not mistaken. I remember hearing that.
Yep, you are not mistaken. That's exactly what they did. And nicotine vaping is straight up prohibited in Japan. But heated tobacco products kind of fall into this, well, it's tobacco, so they're going to use it, but it's not limited. It's not, over-regulated or anything like that. And it's just because I think Japan hasn't got there yet. They haven't regulated it yet, I think. I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure of the politics in Japan. I will be the first to say I'm not sure.
Yes. Charles Gardner goes on to say, there can be no question heated tobacco products have caused cigarette sales to plummet in Japan. Dr. Charles A. Gardner, the executive director of INCO, a global nonprofit that supports the rights and well-being of adults who use safer nicotine, told Filter, in all of human history, smoking has never dropped that fast, and it's very odd that the tobacco control community is not more interested in finding out why. Man, that is so odd.
Isn't it odd?
Why would they not want to know? Why would they not want to know? Oh, I know why they don't want to know, because that would go against literally everything, like Danielle said, they believe.
Yeah, their religion of tobacco control.
It goes against everything they believe. The model that is being used by the anti-tobacco people globally with dollops of money from Bloomberg is the U.S. approach. David Sweener, tobacco industry expert and chair of the advisory board for the Center of Health, Law, Policy, and Ethics at the University of Ottawa, told Filter. This information from Japan is totally available. It looks far more like religious belief. It's not just that people aren't looking at it, they refuse to look at it and refuse to discuss it. All Japan has done, really, is not obstruct the efforts for this single category, and we still have the most rapid decline. We still have the most rapid decline in cigarette sales that we've ever seen. That raises the question, what could we accomplish? Smoke-free world. That's what we could accomplish. Smoke-free world. Heated tobacco products accidentally drove down the smoking rates in Japan to plummet levels, just to nothing levels, accidentally.
Yeah, now just because the Japanese government didn't restrict it.
Right, just because that's the one thing they didn't do is
they didn't even promote it.
Not promoting it, not restricting it. All they did was leave it alone. Boosh, smoking rates plummet. Now, imagine a world where they're promoting this to smokers. Imagine a world where they're promoting heated tobacco products, promoting vaping products, promoting harm reduction. How quickly would smoking rates drop globally?
Probably in half the time that you're saying in Japan.
Yeah,
right?
Half the time, easily.
And That's the problem for tobacco control, right? Because if they do that and then we see these declines that they told us for years and years and years were impossible, that would mean that all these years they were just wrong.
Yep.
They were just wrong. And they were ineffective, and they couldn't figure out, even though they're experts, they couldn't figure out the best way to do it. And they can't afford to admit that they were wrong, and that they didn't know the best way, and that they screwed it up this whole time, and that we could have dropped it way faster and way easier.
Yeah.
They can't afford that.
They can't afford that. And that's why they're not interested in why Japan has lowered their smoking rates astronomically. They do not care. They want their... I'm surprised the World Health Organization is even allowing Japan to have heat not burn products. I'm shocked by that they haven't moved quickly. I mean, Japan is already part of the global tobacco framework control from the World Health Organization. Seems weird that they're letting heat not burn products just stay on the market.
Well, I mean, I don't think they could pressure the Japanese government to do something about it, but I don't think they could actually do anything themselves. And my guess is there probably was or is pressure. I don't know. Yeah, again, I don't know the Japanese politics, so I don't know that intimately enough. But for whatever reason, they just left it alone. And
thank God they did. And I love little experiments like this, like Japan, South Korea, great experiments in harm reduction. But in the U.S., we're going to have some experiments as far as harm reduction goes. I mean, talking about Florida, right? Florida, no flavor ban, no limiting on vapor products. I think we're going to see smoking rates in Florida drop lower than any other state in the nation. I think the states that haven't restricted vaping are going to continue to see smoking rates drop. And I think the states that are restricting vaping, like California, Washington, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, I think we're just going to see smoking rates continue to go up.
I mean, I would agree with that. I think there's a chance, though, that Florida, we might not see as much progress there as we want, because there is still a national campaign of propaganda that they still receive, telling them that vaping is going to kill them. So in the absence of that, I would say I think you're 100% correct. But there's so much media and political pressure telling people, giving them misinformation. I don't know. I don't know.
And look, that could be a thing. DeSantis, stay strong on vaping. Stay strong on vaping. Don't let Campaign for Tobacco for Kids bully you around and push you around, Ron DeSantis. Stay strong. Stay firm on vaping. Keep vaping safe, legal, and accessible. So, that's a thing. Japan, just crazy low smoking rates. There was one thing I missed before we get into the main thing about teens. I wanted to mention Arizona. Yeah. Support sensible licensing. This could be really, really good for Arizona, dude. HB 2682. This is something that we've seen happen in a few different states now. Where was this going on? Minnesota, Colorado, they were trying to do this. I think Loveland, Colorado, they were trying to do this.
You probably remember better than I do, to be honest with you. But it's not, there's a tiny trend of it happening.
There's a tiny trend of it happening. Enough of a tiny trend to make me go, whoa, why is this tiny trend happening? What is this? What's happening? Because we've discussed this already on TBN. The libertarian in me doesn't like this. The vapor in me very, very much likes this. And that's what I'm at odds with in my head. But the idea is HB 2682 would implement a reasonable licensing scheme for vapor businesses in Arizona. The new regulations would formalize annual inspections and compliance checks for vape shops and tobacco retailers to establish penalties for breaking the law.
Sure.
Holy shit.
Don't sell to kids.
Don't sell to kids. Don't break the law. You won't get in trouble. Oh, shit.
Right.
This bill would also make certain decisions about nicotine regulations, such as sales restrictions, taxation, and where products can be consumed, to a state-level matter. Right. I'll put a link in the description to this call to action. Everybody should do it, regardless of how you feel about centralized power. I'm firmly against it, but it's whatever. I'm torn. The libertarian in me is torn with the vapor in me, but ultimately, we definitely should be supporting HB 2682. It's only going to be good for local communities, because what it does, and I think we talked about this last time, is what this does is it keeps campaign for tobacco-free kids and like the American Cancer Society's Cancer Action Network. It keeps those orgs from going into really small districts and municipalities and passing quick and easy flavor bans and then racking up those flavor bans in different counties across a state and then going to the state and saying, hey, look how successful all these flavor bans have been in your state. Why don't we do this at a state level? This kind of stops that dead in its tracks, which I like.
Right. Yes.
That's the part of this I really, really enjoy. The other part of it I don't enjoy so much, but it's really neither here nor there. I mean, it's consolidation of power, which is bad. So I just wanted to throw that out there to everybody in Arizona. If you're in Arizona, boosh, do it. Do the call to action. It's a quick and easy CASAA call to action, and it'll be linked down in the description below. So,
should we do Maine?
I just wanted to hear the Newsy Things bumper again. I don't know. I just wanted to. Let's do... You want to do the main thing?
I think we could do it real quick.
Let's
I promised somebody in chat we would. So whoever you are in chat, I'm following through, man.
Let's do the main thing.
Oh no, I meant Maine the state, not Maine the main thing.
Oh. Okay, let's do the main.
M-A-I-N-E, not M-A-I-N.
You can see how it's confusing, though, when we have a segment called The Main Thing.
I can absolutely.
The
Maine Flavor Ban.
I didn't hear the E on the end of when you pronounced it, so I was just
I mean, it is silent.
Maine.
It is silent.
The Maine Flavor Ban.
Yeah, no.
Take it away,
just
Danielle Jones.
Real fast, there is a CASAA call to action. For LD 1550, which would ban the sale of vapor and tobacco products and flavors other than tobacco. That includes mint, menthol, and wintergreen. And this is for the state of Maine. The latest update that I see on the website is that it is moving out of committee and heading to a vote by the full House of Representatives. It says timing of the vote is not published, so please take this time to contact your representatives. So if you live in the state of Maine, if you have family in Maine, if you know somebody in Maine, please send this to them and have them contact their House reps, because it will be getting voted on in the state House pretty soon. That's LD 1550. It is a flavor ban for vapor and tobacco, again, that includes mint, menthol, and wintergreen.
Maine.
How was that?
That was really good. Yeah, really good call to action. We'll post a link. We'll throw it in the chat. I'll throw it in the description down below. I also missed 2 super chats before we get to the other main thing.
Okay.
Truck Dolphin. Tuck Dolphin. What up, Tuck Dolphin? Possible good news for Arizona. HB 2682. Yeah, absolutely. That super chat should have been my reminder to talk about Arizona, but it didn't quite happen. I appreciate that, Tuck Dolphin. And yeah, HB 2682 for Arizona could be very, very good. And there was one from New Wave Dave as well in there. I think I saw a super chat from New Wave Dave. There he is. Merchants of Death. You should try Chuli's gum. Have you seen Clerks? Have you seen the movie Clerks, Danielle? We talked about this later in Unpopular
Opinions. It's been a really
Opinions.
long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a joke from the old Clerks movie.
Oh, okay. I don't know it well enough to know quotes, but
yeah, that's fine. Let's okay, I don't think there were any more super chats. I think I got all of them. Dave.
Okay.
Oh, Jay. I'm sorry, Jay. As someone who lives in Massachusetts and worked in a New Hampshire vape shop, this was a fun time. Yeah. I had people driving from Rhode Island and the Cape up to New Hampshire to stock up. Yeah. That's very interesting. What an interesting position to be in during this time, like working in a vape shop in a surrounding state to Massachusetts while they're passing this, and just seeing your like revenue go straight up where people are coming into your state to stock up. That's spectacular. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, Jay. And then I got to Tuck, and then I got to New Wave Dave. Okay. I just, I don't like to forget super chats. Now it's the main thing. Yeah, it's the main thing. So like the thumbnail says, is vaping helping teens? I just want to go on record right now and say I follow the law. I don't think anybody under 21 should be smoking or vaping. I follow the law. I'm a law-abiding citizen. We have tobacco 21 in this country. That's just the reality. If you're under 21, you shouldn't be smoking, you shouldn't be vaping, you shouldn't be drinking, you shouldn't be doing a lot of the stuff that adults can only do. If you're under that age, it's illegal for you. It's just as illegal to vape as it is to smoke, as it is to drink alcohol. The same level of illegalness. It's all illegal for teens. All illegal.
We are not promoting teen use.
No, of course not.
Or underage use of illegal products.
No,
as a disclaimer to start this episode off.
I would never condone the use of vapor products for anybody under the age of 18, under age of 21, I guess now.
Yeah.
Would never.
However,
is the answer to the question, is vaping helping teens? If you mean not addicting them to nicotine, then no. Vaping is not helping teens. If you mean keeping them from the death and disease of combustible cigarettes and a lifetime of cigarette smoking, yeah. Vaping is helping
looks like
teens.
science is saying
the science shows, that vaping could be helping teens. So we're going to dive into this. Now, this is a study that was done really recently. And what's great about this study is we're going to read some of it, try to decipher it. But additionally, the author of this study herself wrote a tweet thread about this study and sort of broke it out a little bit into a little bit more digestible pieces. So we're going to take a look at that. Additionally, Alex Norcia, he wrote a piece about this same exact study for Filter Magazine. So we're going to mention that as well. Now, this is one of those things that has been in the back of my head for years and years and years. And it's this idea that smoking replaces, or vaping replaces smoking. Vaping actively replaces smoking for adult smokers. So why wouldn't vaping replace smoking for underage people as well? The technology and the nicotine don't understand age limits. So if there's an underage smoker who would benefit from vaping, that underage smoker would benefit from vaping. This is real interesting. High school seniors who used e-cigarettes may have otherwise been cigarette smokers. Evidence from Monitoring the Future, 2009 to 2018. So can you, Monitoring the Future, this is, it's a survey similar to the National Youth Tobacco Survey?
Correct, yes. They ask about a lot more things than tobacco, as I recall. And if I'm not I think Monitoring the Future is done either every year or every 2 years. I feel like it might be every 2 years, but don't quote me on that. But it does, to my knowledge, it asks about tobacco and vaping and things, but I believe it also asks about drug use and other things. But it is a similar type, wherein it is trying to track the behavior of young people. Right.
Potentially risky behavior for young people. So this study, introduction starts off and it says, this is interesting. Studies have indicated that youth who use e-cigarettes are more likely to progress to cigarette smoking. Now, here's the thing. This study kind of takes a jab at the gateway theory pretty hard. It also kind of takes a jab at the whole addicting a whole new generation of nicotine users. Kind of takes a jab at that as well. Studies have indicated that youth who use e-cigarettes are more likely to progress to cigarette smoking. However, the likelihood that these youth would have used tobacco products in the pre-vaping era is unclear. This study sought to determine whether youths who used e-cigarettes between 2014 and 2018 would likely have been smokers in the period preceding e-cigarette availability. It's kind of a weird concept to wrap your head around. But the idea is when you see all these youth smokers now, youth vapors now, would those youth vapors have been smokers in the absence of electronic cigarettes?
Right. If vaping hadn't existed, would they just be smoking?
Right. If vaping hadn't existed, would these people still be smoking? And so this is kind of the question that Natasha A. Sokol set out to study and observe. So they list off all their methods. It's a lot of sciencey methods, and I'm not a sciencey guy. I mean, you can kind of understand some of this. They used analyzing the monitoring the future survey data, so CDC data, for 12th graders between 2009 and 2018. It's like, okay, they forecasted models, or they forecasted the prevalence of smoking, and you go, okay, and then they incorporated socio-demographic data, family data, alcohol, school-related variables. And so they had models and forecasts and models of the smoking prevalence and where smoking prevalence would have gone in the absence of vaping, and where smoking prevalence ended up with the introduction of vaping.
Correct.
Whew. It's a lot to try to decipher weird studies. And there's still even some words in here where I go, nope, I don't understand that word. I'm never going to understand that particular word.
I did a graph on this a while ago that showed kind of the similar thing. Like if you look
I was
at
looking
the trend,
for that.
Oh yeah, if you look historically at the trend of the, cigarette smoking in youth has been declining over the years, albeit slowly. But if you look at that, you can graph that data out, right? And then you can forecast based on maths where it's probably follow that trend mathematically, right?
Right.
So if it's going like this, then you can say, okay, well that's what we're doing. But then when, vaping comes on the market, what you actually see is instead of following that trend in decline, it actually declines way faster.
Yeah, it's
like the real line.
It's aggressive.
Right, it's very aggressive, which nobody predicted that was something that was going to happen. And the idea being that vaping was, the catalyst that caused that to happen. So that's what they're looking at. They're saying like, well, based on historical information, this is what smoking should have done. But, and that now can.
Yeah, right. That, yes.
Sorry.
No. That's really very good. I wanted to squeak in a quick super chat from Andy Ackerman. Very gracious of you. 100% vape free now, but I'm still with you, bud. Keep up the good work. Andy, thank you. I really appreciate that. Running a vape YouTube is a weird thing, man, because I always just assume that all of my subscribers are just going to be temporary visitors. It's like, oh, you're a smoker? Here, I'll show you how to vape. Oh, okay, bye. Oh, you're a smoker? Come here, I'll show you how to vape. Oh, okay, bye. Oh, you're a smoker? Here, I'll show you how to vape. Oh, okay, bye. Like, that's how it's felt, like just this revolving door. So occasionally when I get messages or super chats or DMs from people who are like, I've been watching you for years. I don't even vape anymore. I still watch your videos. Thank you. Keep up the good work. I'm like, yes, thank you. I kept one. Appreciate
You're like
that.
the little kindergarten teacher that sees their like student who is in high school. You're like, oh,
yes, exactly. I'm like, oh, thank you. Congratulations, smoke free. That's fantastic. Anyway, thank you very much, Andy. I very, very much appreciate that. So, yes, that's the essence of what we're going. Would these youths have been smoking otherwise? Until 2000. So the results. Here's the results. Until 2014, observed smoking prevalence mirrored forecasted prevalence. So that means that the data that they used from this survey and their forecast matched.
Right.
Matched. Afterward, forecasted rates were consistently overestimated prevalence. So post e-cigs, their forecast model overestimated the prevalence of smoking. Among non-smoking youth, e-cigarette use was the lowest among those with lowest predicted probability of cigarette smoking and highest among those with the highest probability of cigarette smoking. This is presenting the idea that seems a little bit radical at first until you really think about it. The idea that some kids are just predisposed to smoke cigarettes. They maybe have different riskier tendencies. They might think a little bit differently. They might be more adventurous or willing to take those risks. There's youths who are predisposed to smoke cigarettes. Predisposed to smoke cigarettes based on, again, nuance. Like multitudes of different
factors.
Multitudes of different factors. Multitudes of different factors. But the discussion around this is youth e-cigarette use has increased rapidly with high prevalence among non-smoking youths. However, the decline in current smoking among 12th graders has accelerated since e-cigarettes have become available. Yeah. E-cigarette use is largely concentrated among youths who share characteristics with smokers of the pre-vaping era, suggesting e-cigarettes may have replaced cigarette smoking. This is a thought that I've had for years. It's nice to see it in a science paper where someone goes, oh, these youths who are vaping have the same characteristics as smokers of the pre-vaping era, suggesting that e-cigarettes may have replaced cigarette smoking. It's just nice to see it there in a real sciencey way. Vaping is largely concentrated among non-smoking youth who would likely have smoked prior to the introduction of e-cigarettes. And the introduction of e-cigarettes has coincided with an acceleration in the decline of youth smoking rates. E-cigarettes may be an important tool for population-level harm reduction, even considering their impact on youth. I would even go so far as to say, especially considering their impact on youth. We have millions less youth smokers now. This is a net benefit to public health that people in tobacco control with egos and their weird religious fruitcake thing with tobacco control can't see. They can't see it. They can't celebrate it. They can't do anything. It has to go completely ignored. All of this gets ignored. All you hear is about youth vaping, never youth smoking rates. Smoking, Danielle, will you fact check this for me? Smoking still causes lung cancer, emphysema, COPD, all the bad things?
Yes.
Real bad things?
It absolutely, increases your risk greatly.
Yeah, and there's also that 5-year study showing that smokers with COPD who switched to vaping had their COPD symptoms ameliorated, and those benefits lasted long term. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. So we're considering the impact on youth, this health impact of just being upset at dependency just because it's
right. And that's the problem, right? The problem is that it's now not becoming about death and disease about smoking. It's becoming about this idea that, and I'm going to use their words, not what I would use, nicotine addiction is the new problem.
Yeah.
When nicotine addiction doesn't kill people if you use safer nicotine products, right? That in and of itself, and what I would prefer to call a dependence on nicotine, is not inherently harmful on its own. What can be harmful and what is most often harmful is the delivery device. If it is a combustible cigarette product, there is significantly more harm than, let's say, nicotine gum, even, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are safer and not safe ways to consume nicotine. But, they don't want to hear that anymore. Now it's just all about addiction.
Yep,
and the kids getting addiction.
Yep.
We have to prevent that. And they're not stopping to celebrate the fact that now you're preventing them from getting smoking related diseases. Like, where are we excited about that? What happened to that?
Yeah. Your little precious little angel who would never do anything wrong, Aaron Mills, is now not going to smoke cigarettes, combustible cigarettes that cause emphysema, COPD, heart disease, stroke, lung cancer, mouth cancer, throat cancer. None of that.
But they moved the goalposts, and now it's all about addiction.
Now it's all about nicotine addiction. It's not about the harm anymore. And I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I barely graduated high school. I don't think you can use the term addiction when you're talking about nicotine divorced from tobacco.
I personally don't believe you can either.
I don't think
because
you can.
Nicotine, first off, it's not addiction rather, is not a medical term, right? It doesn't have a definitive medical definition. It is a very casually tossed around word that means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But addiction implies that somebody keeps doing a particular behavior regardless and despite the fact that there are very serious negative consequences to them, even though, and they choose to keep doing it anyway. That's what addiction usually is defined as. Using vaping where's the negative? I'm not spending all my money on, my vape to the point where I'm, going broke or can't afford my house payments. I am not, like something with, might you say, a gambling addiction, for example, right? That causes harm financially.
Coffee.
Or, right.
Coffee's a big,
it's
coffee
that kind.
is a detriment to your bank account. Coffee is a detriment to your health. I've worked at Starbucks. I know how many calories a venti mocha frappuccino has, and it's a lot. If you're drinking that every day, that is an addiction. You're addicted to it, and it's actively harming you. The amount of sugar and fat you're getting from a venti Starbucks frappuccino is... Never drink those beverages. Just don't. They are terrible for you. There's nothing redeeming about them. Nothing.
They taste good,
an addiction. They do. They taste delicious. And look, I'm a free American, so drink up. You can drink.
Yep.
In America, you can have a venti caramel frappuccino for every meal, and no one can say anything about it. I mean, your family could go, what the fuck? Like your wife would go, what the fuck is this Starbucks thing, right? But in a very real freedom sense of the word, you can do that. You can. And it's real bad for you, but you can't vape nicotine. And I keep looking at this I keep making the coffee comparison because caffeine and nicotine are so similar.
They are.
Imagine a world where it was reversed and they smoked coffee to get the caffeine from it. It was combustion or something. And then fast forward a few years later and someone goes, oh, no way. I found this new way to get our caffeine. We can brew the beans instead of smoking them.
Make a tea, basically.
We can just drink the caffeine. And that would be like everybody in coffee control going, no.
Still bad.
Nope, still caffeine. Still caffeine. If you're going to get your caffeine, you get it from the combustion, and that's it. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. But the study's really, really good. And I want to look over here now to the Twitter thread from the creator of it, Natasha. I can't pronounce her last name, and I'm tired of trying. Natasha Sokol, and she kind of goes through in her Twitter some of the same points that we did. She says, our article trying to dig up the counterfactual in youth e-cig use in the U.S. came out today. She says it adds to the growing body of literature supporting the role of e-cigs in population-level harm reduction, not in spite of, but even considering their impact on youth. Absolutely. She goes through the methodology. She goes through the findings. She goes through, where was this one? Our conclusion, it's the same conclusion. If e-cigs had not been available, hang on, let me get this out of the way. If e-cigs had not been available, 12th graders who used them would have likely been otherwise been cigarette smokers. And the ongoing decline in smoking prevalence hastened with the introduction of e-cigarettes. How many different ways can you say that youth vapers were youth smokers and that youth smoking has plummeted because of vaping?
Right.
This is going to be the hardest bridge to navigate ever in the history of everything. Trying to convince people that vaping might be helping the health of the young people that would have otherwise been cigarette smokers.
Right. The problem with tobacco control is they just sit there and go, well, no one should do any of it. And
exactly.
it's like,
exactly.
Sure. Yes. In a utopian perfect world, perhaps, maybe. I mean, I still like it, but
I don't
whatever.
Want to live there.
Sure.
I don't want to live in that utopian world where nobody smokes or nobody vapes or nobody drinks. How boring would that be?
Well, and the reality is,
drugs? Boring.
Some of them are gonna, right? Some of them are gonna. You just tobacco control. You need to accept that some of them are gonna. And if we give them or if they, I'm not saying we give them, if they use a product that is significantly less harmful and therefore they never smoke, isn't that still good?
Yes. I mean,
isn't that better than
better.
If they were to smoke?
Yes.
Let me put it that way.
The reasonable position to take is yes, it's better. The tobacco control stance to take is it's no different. That's what you'll hear from tobacco control. No different. You're still addicted to nicotine.
That is so ridiculously screwed up. I can't even.
Yeah.
It is different. It is very different. One of them has tons of diseases associated with it, and one of them doesn't have any.
Yeah, multitude. Yeah, established empirical science about what cigarette smoke does to your body. I mean, this has been so established, it's goofy. And I mean, humans have been smoking, ingesting, otherwise consuming nicotine and tobacco for hundreds of years. Since the dawn of man, we've been smoking tobacco.
Right.
And now in 2021, that we have all this advancements in knowledge, advancements in science, huge advancements in technology, we've now created a practically benign way to get your nicotine so you don't have to get it through any harmful manner, and it's being scrutinized more than combustion.
Basically, at this point.
That is crazy to me. That is crazy to me. And look, society and politicians, they just move so slow. Even just looking at that last study that we did where it's like, yeah, I could have guessed that e-cigarettes were replacing cigarettes for teenagers 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh, I did. I made graphs about it. And
you made graphs about it. And then years later, we finally get this study that shows us we've already moved on past that. We're like, yeah, I know.
Finally.
I know. Yeah,
told you so.
Yeah, told you so. Finally you got there. But by the time it becomes like a news thing in the news cycle, we're already over it. It's like, yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I already knew that. Yeah, duh. I mean, yeah, duh. I already knew that. Thankfully, the prolific Alex Norcia also wrote about this for Filter magazine, where he says a new study suggests that teens who vape would probably be smoking cigarettes instead if vapes never became available. It talks about they were questioning the so-called gateway theory, which is the idea that if you're a nicotine naive person, you're going to pick up a vape and it's just a lifetime of addiction.
And you will move to smoking.
Right? And you'll go from this, which, let's see, where's my mango? Yeah, mango. Mango, delicious, fruity, low-temp mango to literally inhaling something that's on fire and tastes like a tire fire.
Pill.
Like, why would you? Of course that's not going to happen. And I knew that was hogwash to begin with, but it was one of those things where, like, we'll just have to wait and see. When they kept saying, oh, vaping leads to smoking in youth. It's like, okay, well, we're going to know soon.
Can't prove it.
We're going to know real soon if vaping leads to smoking. Turns out that in 2021, we still have the lowest youth smoking rates in America, in the history of
ever recorded
time, in the history of the written word. Back when people were using abacuses, that's when smoking was higher than it is right now. In the history of time, that's how low teen smoking is right now. In other words, from the Alex Norcia article, in other words, the youth who do vape are generally those who would have been smoking were vapes unavailable. Let's reiterate this again. The decline in youth smoking, so-called continued, really accelerated after the availability of e-cigarettes. Clive Bates chimes in and says, there are two bits of good news to this. Clive Bates, a tobacco control expert and former director of Action on Smoking and Health, UK, told Filter, the first is that young smokers will be diverted into vaping and probably spared a life of smoking, right? That's a huge one that nobody's celebrating. The second is that most of the vaping among kids who never would have been smokers will be pretty transient and not likely persist after a period of experimentation. And what have we seen in the 2021 National Youth Tobacco Survey? Oh, that's right. Or was this in the 2020? Was this in the 2020?
2020 vaping
National
decreased.
Youth Tobacco Survey, vaping decreased. Almost as if there was youth smokers who switched to vaping and then maybe quit, and then there was maybe some nicotine naive youth maybe that picked up vaping to experiment with it for like a month and then obviously got bored of it, because truly honestly, unless you're vaping's not that exciting. If you don't smoke and you don't vape, you could pick up one. I pick up a cigarette and go, I don't get it. And then I pick up a vape and go, I don't get it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not that exciting. But they're making it much more exciting for kids. Much more exciting than, you know, a pink color with a model holding a jewel.
Right.
Right. That's supposed to pull in kids. This may reflect nothing more than the fact that teenagers who are more prone to one behavior that involves some risk, vaping, are also more inclined to take other risks. But if more of these teenagers are substituting far less harmful vapes for the cigarettes they would otherwise have been smoking, that should be a great source of relief. I completely and wholeheartedly agree with this. I've assumed and postulated for a really long time that these youths were just replacing their cigarette smoking with vaping. It's nice to see it in a scientific manner, and it's nice to see that data came from the CDC. Like, it's their own data.
Monitoring the future, I don't know if that's done by the CDC.
Is that
actually.
FDA or CDC? Hang on.
It might be an independent. It might be NIH. I can't remember. Let's see.
Fact check, Kat.
National Institute on Drug Abuse.
Yes.
Let's see.
Oh, it's just monitoringthefuture.org. It's kind of done through NIH, I guess.
Yeah, it's done through NIH.
Okay. All right. So it's not it's not the CDC's own data, but it's still government. I don't know. Maybe it's not government data. It's still
I would still
data.
consider that government data. It's just not CDC. It's higher up the food chain, I guess.
Higher up the food chain. Higher up the food chain. This is going to be the hardest thing this is going to be the hardest bridge. I thought flavors were going to be too hard to defend. Defending youths making the better decision to vape than smoke is something that you can't talk about it.
Oh, they're going to freak out.
Can't talk about it. No one can talk about it. Tobacco control can't talk about it, even though that was their goal. Tobacco control's goal, the Truth Initiative's goal, the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids' goal was to get kids not smoking cigarettes because of all of the death and disease that comes along with smoking cigarettes. And then when kids started vaping, they just said, nope, now it's about nicotine and being dependent on nicotine. And it's going to be... It's like why would I even try to convince the Truth Initiative that youth vaping might be good for some youths who were smoking cigarettes?
I don't think they are capable of understanding that.
They're not capable of understanding it for adults. That's the problem. It's true. Right?
It's true.
You can show them tens of thousands of anecdotes.
Right.
I quit smoking with vaping. I quit smoking with vaping. He quit smoking with vaping. He quit smoking with vaping. He quit smoking with vaping. No, they didn't. Okay. I guess no, we didn't.
Yeah. Go ahead and just ignore my lived experience.
Yeah, just go ahead and ignore my lived experience of smoking for 13 years, finally being able to quit with root beer flavored e-liquid. But yeah, that doesn't matter. I don't count. You're right. I don't count. So to answer the question, is vaping helping teens? If that teen was a smoker, a combustible cigarette smoker, then yes, absolutely, of course it's helping teens.
Or if they were going to become
a cigarette smoker, then yes, absolutely vaping is helping teens. If you want to attempt to somehow live in this like Nerf world where no harm can come to anybody ever and nobody ever takes any risks ever,
right?
Then no, I guess vaping didn't really help any teens other than now they won't get COPD, emphysema, lung cancer, heart disease, stroke, blindness, mouth cancer, throat cancer, all sorts of body cancers, bladder cancer. You know, smoking can cause bladder cancer.
Can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Smoking causes 14 different types of cancer in your body. Vaping causes zero. Zero. Right? It's still zero?
Yeah.
Still zero for vaping? All right. Still zero. Still zero for vaping. Still zero for vaping. So that's it. That's teens. We have this study that shows that, yep, teens that were smokers or were going to become smokers or engage in possibly risky behaviors, maybe more risky than their peers, are probably more likely to become smokers. And even in this study, they talk about teens who aren't risky people, who don't take risks, who don't this, that, and the other, a different personality type, I guess. Mm-hmm. No, they wouldn't. Even with advertising, even with flavors, even with everything, they just have no interest in vaping.
Because like 75% of them don't vape, by the way. Nobody talks about that enough. Even with all of the kids that do vape, even just once in the last 30 days, 75% of them don't.
Yeah, 75%
and
of
are
them don't
not
care.
interested.
Yeah, not interested. That's true. They're just not interested. They're just not interested.
And I don't blame them. Go do marching band. Go do whatever it is you want. You have a life.
Homecoming floats,
is not gonna,
or whatever.
It's not for you.
Yeah, go play soccer. Go play some video games.
They're like, we don't care. And I'm like, great.
Stop. Yeah, continue not caring. Continue not caring despite the federal government constantly telling us that all you do is vape.
Yeah, and that all your friends do it.
All your friends do it, but you shouldn't do it. But all your friends do it, but you shouldn't do it.
Wink.
But all your friends do it. And, hang on, I was trying to find my propaganda. And you can get it from friends.
Just ask around, kids.
This is FDA anti-vaping propaganda telling kids where to get vapes. You can get it from your friends. Don't worry. Don't worry, you kids. Yeah, don't worry, you guys. All of your friends are doing it. You probably get it from them. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. But you can get it from your friends. This guy said so.
Also, you can hide it from your parents. Yep. Also, it comes in lots of fun flavors.
Yeah. Also, it's real easy to hide. Also, no one can smell it. Also, all your friends are doing it. But don't do it. But here's how you get it. But don't do it.
But you get it from your friends.
But you get it from your friends. But don't do it.
Like, are you kidding me? What is this?
It's insane.
I swear to God, if you look at most anti-vaping propaganda commercials and you take off the last 2 seconds of the commercial, it could be pro-vaping.
It could, yeah.
I challenge you to try it. Look at any anti-vaping, a lot of, at least in California, a lot of the ones here, if you just take off the last 2 seconds, it looks like a pro-vaping commercial. Yeah. Because it'll be like, it's awesome. You could do this and this and this and this and this, but it's bad for you. The 2 seconds at the end.
Yeah. The 2 seconds at the end. But don't do it.
Right.
But don't do it. We can't find any harm from it yet. We tried with Ivali, but that didn't have anything to do with nicotine.
Nope.
So we can't find any harm from it. So really, we're just going to really double down on addiction. Just really double down on that.
And metal particulates and brain worms. We're just going to make it up.
Brainworms. Brainworms. Yeah, we'll just make it up. We're just going to make it up. Guys, brainworms. Well, that was the main thing. So just to reiterate, no, youth should not be smoking, should not be vaping. Obey the law. I'm not going to break the law. I'm not encouraging anybody to break the law. Of course not. It's illegal, dude. It's just as illegal as drinking. Just as illegal. The same level of illegalness.
Right.
Which begs the question, why? How are they even getting these products? Oh, that's right. FDA told them from their friends. That's right, from their friends. You can get it from your friends. Black market and your friends. So yeah, I will put links down in the description to literally everything we talked about today. We have gone an hour and a half. Doesn't seem like it, does it?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies when you're ragging on tobacco controllers.
That's also true.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up. I don't have a bumper for it, but did you watch any movies recently?
Oh, yeah. What do you want to... Okay, so... Yes. What was our latest?
What did you watch? What did you like? What did you not like? It's time for Unpopular Opinions with Danielle Jones.
Unpopular Opinions with Danielle Jones. I'm trying to think. What is an unpopular opinion? So, I should have had this. You should have texted me that we were going to talk about this.
I know. I didn't even think about it.
I had been updating a Twitter thread, letting people know if they were interested in following along. Mm-hmm. Let's see. We watched the first Die Hard, which I super didn't like.
You didn't like it?
No, the third one was good. I liked the third one. The first one was just like none of it really made any sense. I mean, nobody would react that way. The cops were way too dumb.
Yeah.
So dumb it was ridiculous.
I get you. I mean, it is an action movie. You know, it's meant to be kind of over the top and bad dialogue and witty catchphrases and
I think
of
you can have great
explosions.
action and good dialogue.
Look,
and realistic.
You can, but that's a
plots.
lot to ask, Well, it's like, think about like movie tropes, So it's like the action movie. It's like a cookie cutter thing. It's like if you go to an action movie, you're going to see quippy one-liners. You're going to see car chases, explosions, machine guns, helicopters, Tom Cruise probably at some point. Action movie tropes, right?
Right.
It's like that in everywhere. It's like comedy movie tropes and horror movie tropes, and it's just kind of what makes an action movie. Like, I'm not trying to defend my position on Die Hard, but
I liked the third one better.
Die Hard 3 is good. Samuel L. Jackson's in that one too.
Yeah, I like that one. That's
a real
fun.
good one. That's a real good one.
No, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I didn't have any main complaint. It was it was what it was, and I appreciated it for
sure.
I'm a fan of the speeds. It's like that.
Oh yeah,
I like that. I like
speeds.
Die
too.
Hard 1 was just a little too ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
They'd figured it out by the third one. You know what I mean?
I get you.
I got it.
I get you.
Oh, we watched. My husband made me watch something else too. I can't remember. Shit. He probably can't hear me. I can't remember the name of it. It was an old movie. It was I think it was like the 70s. And it was a bunch of Navy guys on a boat, on a ship, on an aircraft carrier.
Okay.
And the aircraft carrier got sucked back in time to the day of before the Pearl Harbor attack. Do you know this movie?
Yeah, it sounds very familiar, but I can't think of it. I haven't seen it.
Do you guys know this movie?
I haven't seen
aircraft, and it had like all this crazy cool footage of like planes taking off on aircraft carriers, and they actually like filmed it on an aircraft carrier. It gets sucked back in time to the day before the Pearl Harbor attack, and it has famous people that I can't remember their names in it. Oh, we also watched Predator, by the way.
You watched Predator?
Yeah, we did. We watched the first Predator.
What's the verdict on Predator? I can tell it's already going down. My thumb's just going to be like this.
I didn't love it.
Really, Predator? That's like a tried and true.
Final Countdown. That was it.
Oh, okay. Final Countdown.
Dave Lloyd.
Dave Lloyd for the win.
Yeah, Final Countdown.
There it is.
So, yeah, Predator, I was not...
Predator. What didn't you like about Predator?
I mean, it just felt a little flat to me. Like, I didn't care about any of the characters at all, really. Like, not even a little bit. Yeah. I didn't even know Arnold Schwarzenegger's the name of his character.
Yeah, nobody does. I don't remember.
I need to care about them a little bit. Like, make them a little witty, have a funny one, and have a.
You didn't care about it. There was that one guy who was shaving his face. Remember with the sweat?
That was really weird.
Yeah, that character though. He's a character that I cared about. He's a character that I cared about in that movie.
I just didn't like any of them. I was like, well, he's dead now. Bummer.
Yeah, you kind of feel that way. Oh, he's dead now.
I wasn't invested in anybody.
Do you generally...
I liked the action, but the concept was cool.
You do generally dig on action movies. Like
I do.
Type of movie. Okay.
Yes, okay. I do generally dig on action. But I need to care. Like, okay, this. And I'm probably going to catch a ton of flack for this.
Probably.
Some of, like, okay,
Socialist.
When The Rock does an action movie, I am all there. I've seen every single action movie that The Rock does.
Six Fast, Six Furious, or he's been in a few.
Oh no, I mean, I don't do those, but like, the one with the like apocalyptic earthquake, San Andreas.
Oh yeah, sure.
Oh yeah,
disaster film, yeah.
Yeah, disaster with like I'm into it. I'm into it, and it doesn't have to be amazing, but there's a few bars that you need to hit. And Predator didn't hit them for me.
Really?
Like,
that's interesting.
I feel like I'm not asking a lot, but I do need to care.
Yeah,
like
it's an
you need to have a
movie,
a backstory that I care about just a little bit. I felt the same way about Prometheus, the new,
Prometheus.
I did not care about a single character in that movie.
Yeah, I didn't either. I didn't either.
Very sterile.
I'm a huge fan of like the Alien movies though. The sequels
fun.
that came out. I like Alien. I like Aliens. I don't really like any of the other ones though. I just like those two. But I was anxious to see Prometheus because I was like, oh, it's kind of the beginning of this Aliens, but it wasn't very good.
It was so weird. And then the one that came after that, though, I actually liked it better. The the sequel to the Prometheus movie. They made another one, right, with the blonde guy.
Oh yeah.
I liked that one better than the first one. It had more of a plot, and it had like characters that I mean, it has a plot, but like I cared about people and what was happening. In the first one, I was like, all y'all hate each other and nobody's friendly to anybody else, and everybody's just like I don't want to be a part of this group. Like that's how I felt about it. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. So I've seen Final Countdown, I've seen Predator, I've seen Terminator.
Oh yeah,
or not Terminator. I'm sorry.
Okay. I was all excited for a second. I was like, Terminator, classic.
No, the Bruce Willis one.
Die Hard.
Yes, I'm sorry. Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 3. Also the one, Get Your Ass to Mars. We saw that one.
Total Recall. Yeah, Total Recall. You on an Arnold kick, were you this week?
It's my husband. I don't know. Like,
Total Recall is great too. Total Recall. These are all his picks. Total Recall is a movie that I don't even really like, but I like it. It's not good, but I really like it.
Okay, the gore was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
just knock it
super gore
off.
Yeah,
like
I'm gunshot wound. It just
blows a hole in your whole body, like the eyes popping out of the head.
Yeah,
unnecessary. Okay.
Okay,
like I looked away because it was just too ridiculous. Like too much. Tone it down. I actually think Total Recall would make a really good like remake. I know they did one, but I heard it was like not the same plot at all. Like a legit remake. And I think they should have pushed more like Inception did with the like, is this real or not? Like I got it when they were doing it, but then my husband pointed out to me all these people that have these other theories and like different little pieces of evidence that I did not pick up on at all. Like, you know, when they got to that point, I was like, oh no, it's not. Of course it's real. And then I just moved on with my life. Like, but there's a whole bunch of other people that are like, is it though?
Is it
you know,
real? Is
with
it
the
not?
Inception and the spinny top, they should have pushed it more like they did, because that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I get that. It's not bad for a movie made in the 1980s,
it's not.
though. I mean,
it's not. I
had
overall
a pretty complex storyline.
It did. I overall liked it a lot. The gore was way too much, and I wish they'd pushed that plot point a little bit more, but otherwise, no complaints.
Oh, okay. Good stuff.
I liked it.
Nice. Well, we didn't watch any. We watched one movie this weekend. It was a drama. I'm not sure if you heard of Boogie Nights.
Oh, yes. I love Boogie Nights.
Yeah, Boogie Nights is great.
I've probably seen that movie like 20 times.
Boogie Nights is really good, but it takes a dark turn about halfway through.
Oh, yes,
you know,
it does.
like when 1980 happens, it's like, oh, this movie's not fun and porn anymore. It's just sad. It's just sad and depressing.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a movie that I had been wanting to rewatch for a while, and so I started it, and then I was telling Casey about it, and she's like, I kind of want to watch that. So I was like, okay, I'll just wait for you then.
Everyone should watch Boogie Nights.
We waited like a month, and then we finally watched Boogie Nights, and it was really, really good. Casey was really into it. The only other thing we've been watching is this great show. Here's where I'll leave this. This is your homework, everybody. Besides defending vaping, besides being as educated, as informed as you possibly can, standing up for vapors' rights and defending vaping, your other homework, there's a great show. It's on Apple TV Plus, and it's called For All Mankind.
Oh, yeah. We finished that already.
God, it's so good. I only started season 2. Don't know spoilers.
Oh,
it's
okay.
so good.
Right. I won't.
So
we are fully caught up in watching it since the very beginning because we're obsessed with space shows. You guys, if you like space and NASA and like astronauts, you need to.
It's so great. It's so great. And I love the like alternative future.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that trope. I love that old bit. You know, it's so great. So great.
Yep.
Really great show. We just kind of started getting into season 2, but we started it like maybe a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Okay. All right.
Maybe a week ago. Love this show. Love it. For All Mankind.
Very good.
So great.
Go watch it.
Go watch For All Mankind. Go watch For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus. It's spectacular. Chest Rockwell.
And I would say go watch Love and Robots on Netflix. That is also
there's a season 2, dude. There's a second season that just came out.
We watched them all.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I only watched like the first 3 episodes of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
And there's that one with the children. try not to do any spoilers. That one was that one left me feeling really uncomfortable.
These are animated shorts made for adults. These are not
very
made
much
for
made
children.
for adults. Very much made for adults. It's a lot of really dark themes, nudity, violence,
adult content,
really adult content.
Yeah. But I love them because they're deep. They make you think. They're about serious topics. Because I don't like animated things, mostly because it's for children, and I don't like things that are for children. These are for grown-ups, and I'm like, yeah.
So you have a
and
BB-8
they're beautiful
behind you too. So I just
beautiful.
I'm not trying to call you a hypocrite, but you have a BB-8 behind you as well. That's definitely
not for children. No,
an argument
for
could be
me.
made that a space fantasy movie about wizards and lasers and robots could be more directed for kids.
It's for me.
It's for you. Look, it's for you. Mine. I get it. But animated is,
Yeah. And most animated doesn't have an element that's for adults, something upper echelon, content-wise. Sure. It's just, But these are deep and meaningful and really thoughtful and freaky,
really
or
heavy and freaky and weird. And there's this one episode in season 2 about the children that I watched and I was like, whoa, that's the end? Whoa. And I couldn't stop thinking about it. It really, it affected me like that. Yeah. Like I haven't had anything in probably my whole life, like a media. Like I listen to death metal, I listen to Gwar, I've listened to the most rude, vulgar, disgusting, gross lyrics in movies that you've ever heard in your life. Mm-hmm. But that episode, upset me. Yeah. Disturbed me. I was like, whoa, okay, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's your new homework. Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix, seasons 1 and 2, and then For All Mankind on Apple TV Plus. That would be my thing. And Loki's coming out soon on Disney Plus too. The Loki show. I'm really excited about that.
Me too.
Really excited for Loki. Did you watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Did you like that?
Oh yeah,
so good. So
I am
good.
100% Marvel. If it exists, I'm gonna watch it.
So good. I love the Winter Soldier so much.
Yes.
I like the Winter Soldier so much more than Captain America, but that's another unpopular opinion.
I mean, I really like Captain America too.
Everybody loves Captain America. Everybody loves that privileged life that he had.
I really like Civil War the best, though, actually. Civil War is my favorite.
Civil War is great. But
Civil War is excellent.
The character of Bucky Barnes of the Winter Soldier in the Marvel Universe is one of my favorites. I just like him. Because he's just a dude with a robot arm and a gun, and I'm like, that's cool as hell.
Yeah. Also, sometimes you're evil, and sometimes
sometimes you're evil, sometimes you're a good guy. Like, I can relate to that. I've been evil. I've been a good guy. I don't have a robot arm. I've only shot a gun once, but I'm basically the Winter Soldier if you think about it hard enough.
I mean,
so
aren't we all?
We are. Let's all be the Winter Soldiers of defending vaping. Let's pretend we have robot arms and guns. No, not guns. Guns. Robot arms and guns.
Sure.
Guns that shoot fucking science in the form of knowledge.
Yeah.
A gun that shoots the ability to think critically.
Yeah.
Shoot that at people.
It's kind of like the empathy gun from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Right.
But it's the critical thinking gun instead.
Critical thinking gun. Holy crap, yes. And I'm glad you made a Hitchhiker's reference because Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy rules.
Definitely seen that, of course.
Rules ass. So good.
I mean.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for coming to hang out. It's TBN. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another action-packed, advocacy-filled, news-filled, science-filled, truth butter-filled, rage sweat-filled live stream for you. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to talk about some more unpopular opinions that Danielle Jones might have, like she doesn't like Die Hard or Predator, which is super weird.
I mean, I'll get some more for you. Yeah. Wait till you hear what my favorite pizza is, GrimmGreen.
Uh-oh. Oh! All right, let's talk about pizza in 2 weeks. Okay. So arm those critical thinking guns, arm those science guns. Really appreciate you guys coming out. On your way out, if you want to leave this video a like, you would just be my favorite person on earth. But until next time, remember, no matter what anybody tells you, the science says that vaping is at least 95% less harmful. I like to say an order of magnitude less harmful for you than burning and inhaling deadly, deadly combustible tobacco cigarettes. So yeah, no matter what is in your hand, you guys, absolutely, let's keep on vaping. See you guys in 2 weeks. Peace.
Bye.